My colleague, I'm going to ask her to introduce herself, and she's going to be kind of monitoring the question and answer box and the chat box. Aja?
Yeah,
I think your
she's here.
microphone's off.
Yeah, I just unmuted you, Asha.
Oh,
Thank you so much. I'm Aja, OUSD SEL Team Program Manager, former 4th and 5th grade OUSD teacher, 15-year OUSD employee.
great. Thanks, Aja. And Keth, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I can do that. Hi, everyone. I am Kenneth Chin. I'm the coordinator of instructional technology at OUSD. So great to have everyone here. And thank you, Sunny. I don't know, maybe you can introduce yourself as well in case people don't know you.
Yeah, prior to being the SEL coordinator, I taught for 19 years, all in Oakland in upper grade, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And 7 years ago, decided I wanted to get involved with the social emotional learning work in our district. So I've been on the team since 2012. Both just real quick, my kids are born and raised in Oakland, and my oldest is a teacher in Oakland. So we have established some deep roots in Oakland. And it's, again, those of you who are coming on board, welcome. Our today's learning is around connectedness and self-care. And I first want to say that to acknowledge that you all have a lot on your plate. And it's to acknowledge that, and also to give yourself, I want to invite you to give yourself permission to be able to put aside those emails, those checklists, the news, your list of to-dos, and to be present here for yourself and your colleagues. And I also know that there will be times when you need to step out. Perhaps you have a child that needs attention, or there is an emergency call, what have you, that to do so, and it's okay. So as Kelly said, we do have a really tight agenda. I will say that it is, I tried to, as much as possible, to see if that we could end at noon. But realistically, we're going to end at 12:05. So I realize that some of you may have prior commitments. When you need to leave, that's the right time for you to leave. All right. So in our time together, we're really talking about today around connectedness, that it's as a form of self-care. And it's also how we can take care of each other. We know that, or you know that we are all learning how to deal with these extraordinary levels of stress and anxiety. And at the same time, along with that, it's important to note that we are also experiencing loss, both personal and shared. We're having to kind of either learn new ways of connecting, of reaching, communicating, and even doing our work. We've also been overwhelmed with kind of a flood of resources, tools, apps, and articles, and which can be create a moment of indecision, like what do I do? What app do I choose to use? And so all in thinking about where we have all of this stuff with us, and how are we figuring out how to connect with our colleagues, our students' families. So in the midst of all that's going on, it's important also to note that that part of self-care is laughter and humor. Not at the expense of others, but kind of this notion that we are all trying to make sense of an experience we've never had. And in those moments, that there is a place for laughter and humor. So we're going to watch a short video clip Unfortunately, due to time, we're not going to watch all of it. But I want you to, watch the video. And afterwards, we're going to divide into breakout rooms for you to do some sharing, right? Ooh, let's see now.
Hello, it's me. I'm in California dreaming about going out to eat just a burger with cheese, or a shaken margarita, baby back ribs from Chili's. Hello, can you hear me? I am shouting out to neighbors who I used to like to see when we were outside and free. Is there something else to watch besides the news and Finding Dory? The social distance between us, and I'm freaking out. Hello from the inside. It's just me and myself and I. Breaking my heart, but it's clearly what we should have done from the start. Hello from Corona Life. I FaceTime called 1,000 times to show you I'm sitting right here on the couch. What's the point of putting on pants anyhow anymore? Hello, how are you? Do your fingers hurt from scrolling through the cat memes on your iPhone? I hope that you're well. Did you ever make it out of that town before they closed the Costco? It's no secret that the both of us haven't showered yet. Hello to Corona.
All right, I'm sorry that I was not able to show the rest of the video, but we will provide a link for those who want to listen to the rest of this version of Adele's Hello from the Outside, or the Other Side, excuse me. And I want to give you just a moment to think about where do you find moments, or where have you found moments of laughter in your own experience? And how does this feel? So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to think about where have you found moments of laughter. So Keldith is going to randomly divide you into groups of 3. You'll be going to a breakout room. And in your group, each person will have 2 minutes to share what's coming up for them about moments of laughter that they find. And we will send you a message when it's the next person's turn. And then about a minute before we finish with the inclusion activity, we'll send a 1-minute warning. All right.
And just to let you know, just because of the math, a couple of you will be going to rooms of 2. So you'll have just a little bit longer to share if you're only 2. Okay.
Great, thanks.
So we're about to break out right now.
Back up here. Thanks. So as people are returning, I'm sorry?
That was really nice that we are able to share how we feel during this pandemic, where there is economic disruptions and people feeling anxiety and stuff like that. And so far, we are surviving. We're adjusting, and there is a flexibility where we could, go to the place where we want to go, not compared to other countries that when they are locked down, they cannot go nowhere. They just stay home. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to invite others if you'd like to share how that felt, or where have you found moments of laughter, to go ahead and type it in the chat box. And as you're doing that, just wanted to kind of mention that, humor, laughter is a way of affirming our humanity, and I want to say our shared humanity. And as I said before, it's a way to take care of ourselves, with self-care, and being in this, with sharing with others, that we're finding that we're connected to each other. We're feeling a sense of connectedness and belonging during these uncertain times. Okay. And I'm going to ask if everyone could just be mindful to turn your mic on mute. That'd be appreciated. So let's see. Wanted to share with you some agreements for our time together, which is to hold and support each other as learners and leaders. And I am certainly going to be both doing that as I learned how to become more fluent with the Zoom meeting. We know that things are going to come up from time to time. So, if you need to step away, come back and to rejoin us, to be fully present. And again, this kind of falls into taking care of yourself and taking care of each other. Today, we're going to explore, and you're going to actually be able to experience connectedness as a form of self-care. You will be participating in a flash consultancy. And if time permits, we'll share some resources. Know that these resources will be available on Teacher Central. And for those of you who are interested in the slide deck, there is, you'll see at the bottom of the screen, a tiny URL. That will also be posted on the Teacher Central newsletter as well. So I wanted to talk about when we think about connectedness and cultivating connectedness, be it with our students, our colleagues, that we're confronting some unusual, extraordinary challenges. And one is that the formal and informal ways that we connect with each other are no longer available. Just the fact that we are in this virtual meeting, it's, as a facilitator, it's really challenging because all I see are your names, or in some cases your initial, or some of you have your on-screen view. The informal ways, kind of, the coffee breaks where we just stop by, have a quick chat, quick check-in. So now in this kind of new environment, connectedness now requires intentionality. The other thing is that we have been bombarded with so much information. It's almost like a tsunami of resources, tools, apps, and these are all being offered with good intentions. But it can be overwhelming and then place you or create a sense of guilt. Gee, I haven't read that. I haven't tried my friend's app on mindfulness. In fact, I downloaded one and I have yet to use it. Or shame that I'm not working out as often as I was supposed to, and I have all this time now. And so it requires, so for self-care then, it requires paying attention to it in a different way. And I would say particularly as teachers, as educators, how do we connect with each other? How do we feel a sense of connectedness and belonging, given that we cannot, because of physical distancing? And so I wanted to share with you a story on my own experience as a way of kind of helping us think about connectedness in a different way. I was recently, I ended up reaching out to a friend, a colleague, because I was just literally spinning around in my mind. I was feeling overwhelmed to extent of feeling paralyzed, indecisive. I didn't. There was so much going on. I couldn't get a handle on what I should be doing. What could I do? I was feeling inadequate. That I was paralyzed, and it was affecting my personal and not my professional, but also my personal life in terms of how my relationships with my family and close friends. And so I reached out to a colleague who offered to serve as a thought partner. And as I've been reflecting on that relationship, three things come up for me of that sense of connectedness and how it's impacted me in my work. And one is that by sharing my own experience and my own doubts and uncertainties and what I'm going through, my colleague was serving as a thought partner, and she fully accepted what is happening with me. It was non-judgmental. There was a sense of belonging in this relationship, and in that sense of belonging, I was able to kind of return, if you will, or reaffirm my identity, and to be true to myself based on my own values and beliefs. And as a result, having the or understanding that while as imperfect as and the mistakes that I will make and am making, that I am able to act and move forward with intention and thoughtfulness, having some agency, regaining some agency in what I do. And this continues to be a work in progress. We meet once a week for an hour via Zoom. So we're going to move into, I want to invite you to experience how might connecting with each other in a particular way cultivate or bring about some sense of belonging, identity, and agency. And so we're going to, in a moment, you'll be divided again randomly into groups of 3 to participate in a consultancy. And a consultancy is an experience. It's going to be an experience, a way to experience for you belonging, identity, and agency. Its purpose is not solution-oriented, but to broaden your thinking, gain deeper insight, to get multiple perspectives. So again, it's not solution-oriented. And in the course of your consultancy, you'll be connected with members in your group. You want to bring your full self to the group, and that you have control over what you're going to share. And so it's going to be we would invite you to share a question, a concern, or an opportunity that you have control over and that you're willing to share. Okay. So again, it's not solution oriented, but it could be, a question like, or a concern, opportunity. I'm not going to, well, let's leave it at that. I think there's plenty for you to be able to find something to share. But I also want to emphasize something you're comfortable sharing with us, because you will be with some colleagues that you may not know.
Sonny,
Okay. Yes.
is there a slide on the screen that we should be seeing? We can't see your screen. I apologize for the disruption.
Oh, no, you know what? I realized I did not screen share. So that's something, my apologies.
So before we exit, we didn't get that tiny URL that you were mentioning, because I think it was on a slide.
Right. Does he ever see my screen now?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for calling me, for letting me know. I'm looking at my screen here and I'm seeing all the slides. My apologies, everyone. So let me give you a moment to think about what is something you'd like to share with two other people in your group.
And Sunny, what are you thinking as far as the time right now? It's just looking at it's 11:31 right now.
Yeah, let's, so let me, we're going to give each person will have 11 minutes. Let's make it 10 minutes, okay? And I will post these directions in the chat box. Each person, you'll have 3 rounds. So each person will have 10 minutes. The first 2 minutes, the presenter, that's the speaker, presents a question, concern, opportunity. And then the presenter steps aside. The other 2 people are reflectors, and they can, I'm sorry, not step aside, but they can ask clarifying questions for 2 minutes. And then the presenter will step aside, literally step aside, and the reflectors will have 4 minutes then to talk with each other. Presenter just listens without interruption, okay? And then the group will return to the presenter, who will have 2 minutes then to share kind of what's on their mind, what's their current thinking, what's resonating with them, okay?
Okay.
So I will make the adjustments on the time for the breakout rooms. And let's say that whoever, I will be in a breakout room. I don't know if Kelly, if you can control this, but it's probably best for me to step out.
Okay.
So if there's one group that has 4, then I can step out.
Okay. I'm going to stay in the main room, and so
Okay.
if there are any difficulties, you can return to the main room, and I can try to reassign anyone. And
yeah, I'm definitely going to return to the main room, and
okay.
then we will let you know when to move to the next person. It helps to have if there's someone in the group who can use their cell phone to keep time.
Yeah.
Timekeeper.
And,
okay.
And also that just because of the math, you might not have exactly 3 people, but most of the rooms look like they will be 3 people right now. So
Okay.
I'm going to open all of those rooms right now, and feel free to return to the main room if you need any assistance.
I think everyone is rejoining us.
Sonny, would you please share the previous slide that we didn't get to see? The one
Yes.
about purpose, belonging, identity, and agency. There was a request for you to repost that slide because we couldn't see your screen.
Okay. So appreciate your patience. in the with the breakout rooms, we're all on this very steep learning curve, learning how to connect with each other virtually and do it in ways that are meaningful and relevant to you. So I hope that the conversations you were able to have was of help to you. And just invite you in the chat box to share what you're in your breakout rooms. What are you walking away with, or what came up for you? How are you feeling? We do have a protocol that that we can offer to you. So if this is something that you want to use with your grade level PLC or with your staff, and I think based on this experience, give yourself time for the technical, for some of the technical issues that are going to come up. Okay.
Don't forget to reshare your screen.
Is it not? I'm not resharing it. It should be reshared. Oh, gee. So you're not seeing anything right now, huh?
Yes, I see you.
But you don't see my screen.
No.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so let's a few minutes just for if there's some questions, and if you can post them in the chat box. And then Aja, maybe if you can, if there are any questions, we'll spend a few minutes before we kind of wrap up. All right. Aja, I'm not able to see my chat box. It disappeared. And could you please unmute?
No worries. I'm monitoring the chat box.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and if you have a question or comment, go ahead and type in the chat box. And so I want to end with just some, and I hesitate to give you these resources because there's so many, but one of the resources that I found really helpful for myself and I've been sharing with others are what's called these daily quarantine questions. And it's a way, I think, questions to ask yourself every day that promotes a sense of connectedness with yourself and with others. And to these questions think of these questions as a form of self-care by asking yourself. We spend, I was in my breakout group, and one of the points that came up is that we're spending so much time on the screen, so much time thinking about, and when we're not on the screen, we're still thinking about the work. And so this is kind of a way to, if you can bring this can become part of your daily practice around self-care. So this is an offering. The next three are just articles. And I'm gonna, we'll have the links to these articles posted. But I thought that the second one, why relational connection is so important, delves more into those of you who are interested in the neuroscience of why our brains, we actually have social brains, and that a lot of the research has pointed out that our need to connect with others is a primary need. So that really speaks to then, how do we what are the ways we can find to connect with each other? The third article, How to Protect Your Well-Being at Work During a Crisis, takes a more kind of expansive view around some ways that you can take care of yourself. Okay, and really locating self-care as part of well-being. And then the last one, I just saw this, and by the way, all of the several of these articles are from the Greater Good magazine, which I highly recommend. But this one really caught my eyes. What happens when we lose our social rituals? And in many ways, we're having to think about different ways to move through life. They're different, and many of these are just rituals. Some of them are automatic that we perhaps have taken for granted. I know for myself, there are certain rituals that I have that I'm having now to think about performing differently or even creating new ones. And so I think this would be an interesting article for you to read. Okay. So we're going to skip the poll question, and I want to move to our optimistic close. And this is actually a question that comes from the Daily Quarantine Questions resource. And think for a moment, what expectations of normal am I letting go of today? Or this week? What expectations of normal are you going to let go of today or this week? And just go ahead and just post it in the chat box. And take a look at what your colleagues are writing. And maybe Aja, would you mind just maybe reading some of them that come up?
Sure.
Thank you.
Grocery shopping is no longer easy. I can't hug and pick up my beautiful baby neighbor, baby Joaquin. Letting go of the previous amount of comfort and agency I felt in my teaching. It's okay that things don't feel that easy right now. Letting go of just walking outdoors in a crowd, buying essential items at the grocery store. They're usually gone.
Yeah, maybe one more.
Having everything available if I need it. Hanging out with friends. College graduation being postponed to December.
Yeah, that's an important ritual for our seniors and parents.
Talking face to face with my colleagues. Eating lunch with my sisters.
Okay, and so I'll just leave you with this quote and it's about being intentional and thoughtful about the connections that matter for you, that make a difference. I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your patience, appreciate it. Ajay, do you have anything you'd like to say, or Khaled?
Thank you. We appreciate all of your openness, vulnerability, and honesty in both the chat box and the breakout rooms. Yeah. And Sunny and I are available to support you. If you would like to connect with us, please feel free to reach out via email. Our emails are on the screen.
All right. Thanks, Khaled. Appreciate your tech support. And
thank you, Sunny, and thank you to everyone for participating today. This was a very good session. I know it was therapeutic for a lot of people.
All right. Thank you, everyone.